I caught up with Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. He's attending the annual gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. Let me start with the president's declaration of a national emergency. I'm aware there have been dozens of them since the law was passed in 1976. But by our research and reading and our understanding, this is the first national emergency that has attempted to spend money that Congress specifically said no to. How is that not presidential overreach?
Well, I think your research is probably correct. I think many of us are concerned about this. I think past Congresses have given any executive, any administration way too much power, and this would be another expansion of that power. That's why you see an awful lot of us concerned about this. Now, the better way to have solved this problem would be for Democrats to support what they supported in the past and give this president funding for better barriers, which we need. We need to secure our border. We need to fix our horribly broken legal and illegal immigration system. And so, hopefully after this impasse now is over in terms of funding the government, we can sit down on a bipartisan basis and start solving these problems and fix our systems.
Well, isn't this an issue then for the president? I say this because Congress, this is the way it works, right? It's divided government. You came to a compromise. They gave some money. The president himself admitted he could go back and ask for more, which is the normal way of how things work between the executive and the legislative. But he decided he didn't want to wait. Is that an emergency?
Well, again, my question is how much can we actually spend in the remaining 8 months of this fiscal year? My preference would have been, let's not shut down the government. Let's do this through the legislative process. Then let's sit down on a bipartisan basis and let's start fixing all of these problems. And I know my staff probably gave you a chart of unaccompanied children and family units in this country. This is not a manufactured crisis, Chuck. 120,000 unaccompanied children family units came in to this country in 2014, and President Obama called that a humanitarian crisis. Last year, 145,000 unaccompanied children and people coming in as families. In the first 4 months of this fiscal year, it's been already 120,000 people. We're at 2014 levels just in the first 4 months of this year. So it's a problem. It has to be solved, but it's going to have to be solved on a bipartisan basis. Divided government is when you sometimes can do big things. Hopefully we can do big things and fix this.
Is the president's move unconstitutional in your view?
No, I don't think so. Again, it's certainly an expansion of authority Congress has given past presidents. This president has the same authority. I wish he wouldn't use it in this case. But again, I understand his frustration.
Where does he have the authority?
Democrats
where does he have the authority on this?
What he wants to do.
Where do you believe he has the authority in the Constitution on this?
From what I can see, it probably comes from a number of different pieces of legislation, the National Emergency Act. There are other pockets of money that give him the authority, for example, in the Department of Defense to fight drugs. Obviously, putting up better barriers is part of the effort to combat that flow of heroin, for example, that's poisoning our cities. So, no, listen, this is a real problem, and it's way more than just a policy crisis. It is a humanitarian crisis. President Obama called that a humanitarian crisis 2014. We're at that level just a third into the year.
So you believe his use of the National Emergency Act, I want to clarify this, is constitutional. You believe it will be upheld in the courts. Do you want the courts to uphold this power?
Listen, I regret that past Congresses have given the president, any president, a lot of the Congress's constitutional authority. It's done it on tariffs. It's done in this case. It's done in many cases. We should have three co-equal branches. Right now, the presidency is probably the most powerful, and then the courts. And Congress is really diminished. And we should start taking back that congressional authority. It'd return that balance, but that's the way it is. And again, particularly when Congress has given the president authority, it's really when that president's authority is even stronger than just what's written in the Constitution.
Are you going to vote to disapprove of the president's use of this of the National Emergency Act when it comes to the Senate? The House is likely to vote on a resolution of disapproval. It will come to the Senate. Where would you vote on that?
I'm going to take a look at the case the president makes. And I'm also going to take a look at how quickly this money is actually going to be spent versus what he's going to use. If he's not going to be spending it this fiscal year or very early in the next fiscal year, I would have my doubts. So again, I'm going to take a look at it, and I'll decide when I actually have to vote on it.
Do you share the concern that other conservatives have that If this is allowed to become precedent, where a president thwarted by a Congress that he disagreed with can end run Congress this way and declare a national emergency to take appropriated money and spend it anywhere, climate change, guns, you name it.
Absolutely, I share those concerns, which is why we're going to take a very careful look at what he's doing here in this instance. But again, I have to stress, this president has been thwarted for in his attempt to keep this nation safe and secure, to secure our borders. Let's face it, if this president can claim a mandate on anything he ran on, it's exactly this issue, better barriers and securing our border. And Congress and Democrats in Congress have supported this in the past. They just won't support it now because it's President Trump. I think it's very regrettable. An easy solution, just have them stop being hypocrites.
I understand you want to blame Democrats for all of this, but let me ask you this. Republicans controlled the House and the Senate for the first 2 years of this presidency. Your fellow home state Republican Paul Ryan was Speaker of the House. Is this not on congressional Republicans and the president that we're in this situation in the first place?
You said we controlled both chambers. We didn't. We had a majority in the Senate, so you don't control it. We need Democrats to support us, and they've been unified in trying to thwart this president's number one issue in the campaign, which was to secure the border. So, no, we didn't have control. We needed Democrats. We never had any cooperation from Democrats, which is regrettable.
You're in Munich. It's an important security conference, and I also know there was a big moment that honored John McCain during this conference. I want to play something that the late Senator McCain said to me the last time he was in Munich 2 years ago. Here it is.
They are puzzled and they are concerned. They realize that the linchpin of the Western alliance is the United States of America, and they worry, particularly when they see increased testings of this union that's being conducted by Vladimir Putin as we speak.
My understanding, there are still concerns from European leaders that they're nervous the United States isn't as solid with NATO, isn't as solid with Europe when it comes to Putin as it once was. This is I know you chair an important subcommittee on this issue. Are those concerns still being expressed by our European allies?
Well, let me first say John McCain is missed. His presence is missed. But there's a record number of House members and senators here, over 50, and we're making that point that we value NATO. We realize NATO has been crucial, keeping Europe whole, free, and at peace for over 70 years, and it's crucial now in its support in Afghanistan and Iraq for our forward presence in, really trying to thwart President Putin's aggression into eastern Ukraine. And so, no, we are here supporting NATO, and I think our European partners and NATO allies are hearing that loud and clear.
Senator Ron Johnson, I appreciate you. I know it's an outdoor street there in Munich. Really appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time, sir.
Have a good day.